welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm your host, Juliet Arrington. We're going to talk about recognizing, preventing abuse. And today we have with us Cheryl Jackson of Jackson Seed of Faith. Welcome, Cheryl.
Welcome. How are you today?
I'm good today. I am very good today on this nice autumn morning. It's so good to be here.
Yes, it is.
Now tell us, we're going to, serious subject here right now, talking about abuse, and especially with your organization and what you all do in the area of prevention. So when it comes to preventing and recognizing abuse, who are you serving? Are you serving more children, or are you serving adults, or is it like a full spectrum? Could you just kind of educate us on what you guys do?
Okay. Jackson Seed of Faith, what we do is that we go out into the communities and we actually educate the children, the parents, and the community, because we want to make our community healthy, and our community cannot be healthy without a healthy family. So we go out and we try to educate, the parents, the children, and the community about child abuse and neglect.
Okay, so when it comes to that, because it sounds like definitely bringing awareness.
Yes.
Bringing awareness to the families of possible signs and things of that nature. Speak to that a little bit more.
Yes. Okay, one of the things that we do, we go out and, because when people hear child abuse prevention, they don't hear prevention, they only hear child abuse. Mm-hmm. So they tend to withdraw. So in order for us to be able to get that information out to them, we came up, God gave me a strategy and a plan.
Okay. Tell us.
So,
what did the Lord give you?
He gave me, the thing to do is to enact the people in fun and engagement as a whole, and then have other community advocates to come in and put this information out there. So through fun, they are coming out, they are gathering the information, and later it began to help them, because we have had several cases to where people have came back and said that the material that was given to us, we read it when we was, later, and mm-hmm. It helped me to identify some things. And actually, one time we had a grandparent actually turn her son in for abuse.
Wow.
And so with that's the thing of putting the information out there, not beating the people over the head with it, and being able to educate them about it.
So how did this become a passion for you?
Well, back in 1990, my son broke his arm, and we was at I took him because it looked like his left side was swollen. So when I took him in, they found out his arm was broken. So I was up under suspicions that I had broke his arm. So my husband was away in Saudi. I was a young parent of 4 children. So they began to look at me. And so during that time, I went through, he was in protective custody for 2 weeks in the hospital. And during that time, they was interviewing me, interviewing the children, coming in and out the home. I was doing counseling. And after 2 weeks, they found out that they didn't find any findings to mm-hmm. where that I was the one, yes. An abuser. Mm-hmm. So after that, I decided that, and to go out, to educate, to bring awareness, to let the people know what can happen, even when you don't know. But the system is doing their job, because they was just protecting the child.
Exactly. And so you're a military family.
Yes.
Thank you for your service. We want to say that. Thank you for our military, our troops. When you said Saudi, I'm like, okay, this is a military family. Awesome.
Yes.
So could you tell us, when it comes to children, what types of behaviors, like when you all are, disseminating the information to the general public, what are some of the markers that you guys have cited in your material that the Lord gave you to help people to be aware of?
Okay. A lot of it is come from simple things that the parents really don't. A lot of times, let's back up. A lot of times, parents that has been abused or neglected as a child, they suppress that abuse, and so it never dies. So that's one identity, is that parent, that abuse is locked up inside of this parent, that in return, that cycle keep going because they haven't dealt with it. And so by putting the information out and educating them on, neglect and child abuse, sexual abuse and physical abuse, then in return too, it began to bring healing to that parent for them to be able to identify what's inside them. And I can relate to that even, with myself being abused as a child by my pastor, my teachers, and some relatives. So I can identify with that because when I started going out here, I thought that my story was just about my son and educating them, but in return, it was bringing healing to me. That was something that was suppressed inside of me.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
So it's just,
because, like you were saying, because man is three parts.
Yes.
Body, soul, and spirit. So
yes.
in that soulish realm where your emotions
yes.
are a lot of times, like you were saying, there can be suppression there.
Yes.
And not dealt with, because even King David in the Bible, which is one of my favorite scriptures, and he refers to his soul as my little darling, my little
yes.
darling. And I thought that was so wonderful, and it plays in so great with what you're saying, because unless we deal with our little darling, that means
yes.
our emotions, our
yes.
will, and our intellect, then we can be born again.
Yes.
You can be a spirit being person because, we have our spirit, but that soul and that spirit must be one.
Yes.
So therefore, then we have to protect and embrace that part of ourselves, that soulish realm. So yes, I can see, like you were saying, that it's so important to, in order to really help and make parents aware, looking inside themselves, seeing those areas that they've been abused in.
Absolutely.
In order to, like you were saying, break that cycle.
Yes.
And that awareness. So just speak to that a little bit more when you talk about that.
Okay. So, a lot of times we'll sit there and I tell people my story.
Sure.
I let them know that I've been on both sides of the bridge. I've been with my child. I've been in a position to where that I was a abuser to my husband mentally, the emotional abuse.
Because in other words, it's going to play out somewhere.
Somewhere, yes. And so as I began to walk in this area, trying to tell people about my experience with my son, the more of me was being exposed in different areas as I learned the different forms of abuse. Then I began to take it back. God allowed me to identify with things that I had not dealt with.
Yes.
And so it just...
Wow, I mean, that is just so... and of course we're under the context of recognizing abuse, but just like you were saying, abuse can show up in different ways.
Absolutely.
And of course, behavioral, verbal, physical, sexual, and a lot of times when we think about abuse, we will kind of pigeonhole to sexual abuse.
Absolutely.
And physical abuse, but that emotional abuse that a lot of people have dealt with at certain levels of their lives. It's just whether somebody picked at you when you were little in school.
Yes.
Or, you know, I wore glasses and I did. You know, somebody called you four eyes or something like that. That can become an emotional scar.
Absolutely.
And make a person, you know, very conscious of what they look like.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so then that can spill over into, you know, then I can be, you know, if I had a daughter, which I do not, you know, okay, then I'm always surveying her looks. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And then criticizing, okay, you're gaining weight, or you're not looking like whatever, you know, so that abuse can kind of just spiral. It's not just sexual, it's not just physical, the ones that we kind of highlight a lot.
Yes.
But a lot of times that emotional, a lot of people are suffering from emotional abuse at some level, and it plays out in different ways.
Yes, I agree. And I believe that the emotional abuse is the most dangerous abuse because it keeps going and you don't identify it. A lot of times you do not identify that emotional abuse, and you say, a lot of people say, oh, that's just their character. That's just the way they are.
Or their personality.
Yes, or their personality. No, it's not.
Wow.
No, it's not. It's a damaged person.
Jesus. Wow.
They are damaged. And so we need to be able to see that and see that behavior, even, you know, one way or the other. When children, a lot of children shy, why are they really, why are they shy? Why?
Is it just their natural kind of bent, or is it something else that's hiding behind that shyness?
Yes, a lot of times it is.
Yeah, yeah. So when you think about it, and I know our time is slipping away, but, and you talked about how damaging that the emotional kind, because you don't really see that because it's tucked behind the emotions. You know, I can put a smile on or something like that. I can just kind of hide behind certain things, but that needs to be brought out.
Yes.
That needs to be brought out.
Yes. And it's brought out by educating the people, educating them about, you know, the emotional abuse. What are you doing? How are you feeling today? So as they begin to tell you how they feel, oh, I'm just a little bit tired today, or I don't want this. Okay, well, you know, why are you feeling like this?
So that there could be something deeper driving
Absolutely.
my exhaustion,
Yes.
or my feeling depressed or something like that. It is playing out in different ways. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for just sharing this important information with us about abuse and how it can hide itself, and how that awareness and that intervention with what you guys are doing with Seed of Faith. Thank you so much. And listen, thank you for being with us on Join Our Town. I'm your host, Juliet Arrington. We look forward to seeing you the next time. Please go out on Facebook, like us, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.